The carrot has been growing in the dark for 9 weeks when the first larva reaches it. It comes down through the soil from an egg laid at the base of the leaves. Pale and legless and thinner than a pin, and it does not go for the surface. It works along the outside of the root until it finds the fine feeder hairs, and it follows them in. Once inside, there is no resistance at all. The flesh is stored sugar, soft, wet, and completely undefended. Laid down over 2 months for a second season, the plant will now never reach. The larva eats a channel through it, and the channel behind it turns rust red as the walls oxidize. Nothing above ground has changed. It has tried everything a root can do. It seals the wound with a corky layer where the tunnel meets the skin, and the larva is already past it. It floods the damaged tissue with the bitter compounds that make a carrot taste sharp, and the larvae feed through them without slowing. More eggs hatch at the crown. 6 larvae, then 12, working the root from different sides, until the channels meet and the flesh between them collapses. Where the tunnels open to the soil, water and bacteria follow, and soft rot spreads through the root in a black, wet front. Above ground, the leaves finally answer, going bronze at the tips, then red, then limp. The root is being hollowed out with 4 weeks of growing left, but the larvae refuse to leave. Finally, something in the soil finds them, and it has been waiting for exactly this. It is a nematode, a roundworm shorter than a grain of salt, and in this stage of its life it has no mouth and cannot feed at all. It does not need to. Steinernema feltiae spends this phase sealed inside its own retained skin. Drifting in the water film between soil particles, carrying a cargo it will not use until it finds a host. It moves toward carbon dioxide, and a feeding larva breathes out a plume of it. The nematode turns and begins to swim up the gradient toward the root. It reaches the larva in the dark and does not bite, because it cannot. It finds an opening instead, a spiracle, a mouth, whichever the body offers first, and it goes in through it and into the body cavity. There it does the only thing it came to do. It releases the bacteria it has been carrying in its gut, and then its work is finished. Xenorhabdus lives nowhere else and needs this worm to travel. Free in the larva's blood, it multiplies without opposition, shutting down the immune response, breaking the tissues down chemically until the inside of the larva is a warm broth. Within 48 hours, the animal is dead, and its body has changed color, going soft and ochre through the skin. Then the nematodes feed for the first time in their lives. They eat the bacteria, they eat the broth, they mate inside the corpse, and they lay, and their offspring mate again. 2 or 3 generations pass inside a body smaller than a grain of rice. When the food runs out, the last generation packs its own bacteria back into its gut, seals itself in its skin, and leaves. Hundreds of thousands come out of one larva and disperse into the water film, blind, unfeeding, and looking for carbon dioxide. The tunneling stops. The carrot that was already hollowed does not recover. But around it in the row, the roots that were reached in time keep swelling, and the difference shows within days. Foliage goes back to a hard, upright green. The root lengthens and thickens, laying sugar down in rings, its surface smooth and orange and closed. Where old tunnels were sealed at the shoulder, a small corky scar remains, and the flesh beneath it stays firm. Rain moves through the bed and carries the new nematodes deeper into the soil, past the roots, into the dark where the next generation of larvae is already hatching. For the carrot, a root that stays closed is a plant that flowers next spring, which is the only reason it stored the sugar at all. For the nematode, the larva was a sealed, warm chamber where an animal with no mouth could finally eat. For the bacteria, the worm is transport, and the worm cannot live without the bacteria either, so neither has been free for a very long time. Nothing here hunted with eyes or teeth. A blind worm followed the breath of something it could not see. And carried a poison it could not use itself. In nature's quiet battles, the smallest partnerships are the ones that hold.